closed down. No one could visit anyone, and we had to adhere to strict social distancing procedures. Let it be clear that words are the most important portion of every civilization and every society. It is the words that we use that define the laws that keep the peace amongst a vast array of different people. The words must be clearly defined. There is a large difference between the definitions of social distancing and physical distancing. Social distancing is something you would do if you found that one of your friends was gossiping about you. You would socially distance from them. Physically distancing from somebody is something you do in order to protect your health when they are coughing or sneezing. We could go to few select essential businesses such as grocery stores, Walmart, Costco, and other large businesses, as long as we sanitized our hands, stood in circles, and followed arrows. Small businesses were shuttered, and none of us could get a haircut. Even our places of worship where one could find some comfort during this so-called pandemic were closed. It is now over 6 months, and while things have been, now well over 6 months, and now things are once again becoming much more restricted. Using the power of control bill, various aspects of the bill will be addressed to demonstrate how we are being abused. Using isolation. From the beginning, we were told to isolate at home and have no contact with anyone that did not live with us. We not only had to maintain 6-foot social distancing, but visiting and driving in the same car were verboten. Now we can visit and drive in the same car, but only if it's within our social circle. Nursing homes, group homes, and people in the hospital are not allowed to have visitors. People are dying alone. This is disgusting.
It is.
This is beyond abuse. It is cruel. It is heartless. This falls under controlling what someone does and limiting outside involvement. No one can get close enough to witness if there is abuse or neglect, or if people are mentally or emotionally stable. Of course, controlling where someone goes falls under this category. At the beginning, we were not allowed to go to parks, travel out of town, or out of the province. We're not allowed to travel to the U.S. as the border keeps becoming closed. Interestingly, what they read, watch, or listen to is also a huge issue, with extreme censorship silencing any voices that contradict or challenge the World Health Organization, the CDC, or public health. In the future, it seems that there will be isolation facilities, and they're opening up across the land right now. Tell me something. What is the difference between an isolation facility and the concentration camps of all the most totalitarian states that have ever existed in our history? It is reported that there may be a secret, non-voluntary isolation center in Quebec, and there has been massive amounts of independent media reporting that people have been forcibly taken off the streets and put into these camps for simply sneezing. We know that Trudeau has given the Premier money for an isolation facility right here in Toronto. While searching for information on the topic of isolation, the following information was discovered. California civil rights attorney Lee Dundas published a video on Facebook this week to show the devastating consequences of isolating children and forcing them to practice social distancing at places like school. It was developed 7 years ago by the CIA to break down enemies of the state. It is the equivalent of smoking 15 cigarettes a day and being an alcoholic. It doubles the risk of death and destroys the part of the brain responsible for learning. A child's risk of dying from COVID is 0.0% per the CDC. No child has passed on COVID to a family member or third party they do not transmit. Let it be known that on April 12th, this government received a repository report from the science team from Sunnybrook Hospital. This report is available at www.freedomforum.canada.com/background_information. And in this report, on lines 210 to 216, they declared to the government that asymptomatic people are neither threatened by or capable of replicating this virus. The government has known since April 12th that asymptomatic people are healthy people and have no effect on the community. Furthermore, on May 5th, from right here in Toronto, from the University of Toronto's own science department, the lead professor of biomolecular engineering, Dr. Sakib Sidhu, reported in the Toronto Star that he had, and I quote, a cure for all symptoms of coronaviruses. Let it be known that a coronavirus is anything from the sniffles to a flu and includes the so-called virus SARS-CoV-2. The government has refused to develop and distribute this, I quote, cure in favor of a $300 million deal with pharmaceutical companies responsible for killing over 500,000 children in India and Africa with their polio vaccines and no liability. This is biological warfare. That's what this is. The government is responsible for everyone who has died in Canada since May 5th. That is genocide. Karen?
I'm reading some.
Using economic abuse, preventing someone from working. With the closure of offices, schools, and small businesses, economic issues have affected a large percentage of citizens. Businesses and offices closing have caused economic hardship in terms of revenue, as well as employees being laid off or losing their jobs. The fact that schools were closed affected one's ability to work, even if they had a job, since they were now responsible for basically homeschooling their children. Daycare centers were also closed, and with site isolation models, it was nearly impossible to access child care services. With all the loss of income, people had no choice but to apply for CERB and other benefits from the government. Basically welfare, making them ask for money and giving them an allowance. It is very interesting that government employees, federally, provincially, and municipally, have continued to get their paycheck, even though they have been working reduced hours from home. Some doctors are able to continue receiving a paycheck, even though they do not have to physically see any patients or perform physical examinations. Teachers have continued to be paid. No economic hardship, it seems. One wonders if those that have not lost economically are the ones filling out the surveys in favor of more restrictions. Using coercions and threats. One statement that is repeated regularly is basically, if you do not comply, you could kill grandma. But it is an empty threat. They are killing countless elderly folk by isolating them. Most elderly are very lonely to begin with. Not being able to have visitors or emotional support from their families is throwing them into despair and hopelessness. Should they be unfortunate enough to contract COVID-19, apparently numerous DNR orders were issued without permission of the patient or family. As well, the loneliness and isolation are driving a number of elderly people to seek medical assistance in dying. As you can see, isolation is a bigger threat than the disease itself. We're told all these measures are to protect the elderly, and this is what is actually being done to the elderly. However, a real and present threat is the excessive fines that are threatened if you do not comply with mask wearing, social distancing, or gathering in groups larger than that mandated. If a church has more than the prescribed number of attendees, they are threatened with a substantial fine. If a business opened without permission, then that business faced a huge fine and loss of license. Even now, if Ontario medical doctors, veterinarians, and other medical professionals do not comply with their association's edicts, they risk losing their license. In fact, if they even speak out against the excessive regulations and loss of civil liberties, they too will be shunned, fired, or perhaps lose their licenses. Sure sounds like communism. Using intimidation. It is intimidating to go to shops and services and be greeted with someone policing the entrances. Do you have a mask? For some reasons, many of these people are very militant and disrespectful. It is quite stressful to go anywhere, especially if one does not know the routine of that particular establishment. To be talked down to and sometimes shouted at if one makes a mistake is very demeaning and degrading. Even by fellow compatriots who treat everyone as if they are contaminated. The blame lies with the media and the health government officials who have conditioned the masses to view everyone as a danger to them. Not every single person is a endangerment to every single person. That's just not true.
Exactly, eh? Yeah.
Police Services Act RSO 1990 CP 15, Declaration of Principles. services shall be provided throughout Ontario in accordance with the following principles. To the importance of safeguarding the fundamental rights guaranteed by the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms and the Human Rights Code.
Duties of a police officer. 42, bracket 1. The duties of a police officer include A. Preserving the peace. B. Preventing crimes and other offenses and providing assistance and encouragement to other persons in their prevention. C. Assisting victims of crime. D. Apprehending criminals and other offenders and others who may lawfully be taken into custody. E. Laying charges and participating in prosecutions. F. Executing warrants that are to be executed by police officers and performing related duties. G. Performing the lawful duties of the chief of police assigns. H. In the case of a municipal police force and in the case of an agreement under section 10, agreement for provision of police services by OPP, enforcing municipal bylaws. Bracket I, completing the prescribed training. RSO 1990, CP 15, section 42, bracket 1, 1997, C8, section 28. Power to act throughout Ontario. 2. A police officer has authority to access such throughout Ontario. Powers and duties of common law constable. Bracket 3, a police officer has the powers and duties ascribed to constable common law. To the officers of 52 Division, I am going to come into the station now. I have a claim for you to receive from me. I would like if an officer would meet me and receive this claim. Thank you very much.
My reason for being here is to safeguard the fundamental rights and freedoms in the Human Rights Code, which is Section 1.2 of the Police Services Act. I'd like to help the police safeguard the fundamental rights and freedoms in the Human Rights Code by inviting you to lawfully take into custody the Lieutenant Governor and Premier for murder. Section 229, bracket C of the Canadian Criminal Code, as lockdown suicides become murder. You have the ability through Section 15 of the Charter of Equal Benefit and Equal Protection of the Law to take into custody and arrest the Lieutenant Governor and Premier. Section 15 of the Charter, equal benefit and equal protection of the law means that no one is above the law. But as the police are lawfully taken into custody immediately, the Lieutenant Governor and Premier for murder. Section 229, subsection C, as lockdown suicides become murder. Again, you can use Section 15 of the Charter, equal benefit and equal protection of the law, as no public authority has been. So ask the police to lawfully take into custody the Lieutenant Governor and Premier for Section 229, bracket C, murder, as suicide lockdown suicides become murder.
Well, they have to take it.
Okay, well, they'll come and take it.
Bye, guys.
They'll come and take it.
Well, it says right there, so I'm right here, right? Well, we can move in right here. I don't mind.
We have COVID rules.
It's warranty.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We can move in.
Project Phoenix is
We're live,
meeting at 5, so I can stay till 5.
Yeah, well, we can have tell Jack to be quiet, please?
Lieutenant Governor Premier for violating section 83.01, bracket 1, bracket B, domestic terrorism, and section 83.231, bracket 1, homeless regarding terrorism.
File a report or require any other police assistance, press 0 or stay on the line and wait while I transfer.
I am reporting a crime, so.
Hi, Toronto Police.
Hi, we're at 52 Division, and we're here to report multiple crimes.
Yeah, so the divisions are currently closed to the public. Let me get you 3 communications, okay?
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. One moment. You have reached the Toronto Police Communications Center. All operators are busy assisting other callers. Your call will be answered by the next available operator.
Can you please tell him to stop talking? People need to stop talking.
All
Okay, no,
operators are busy.
just tell him to turn the speaker off.
If you are calling to have a parking enforcement officer dispatched, please be advised that for your convenience, parking complaints can now be made online at www.tps.on.ca/CORE. That's core. Select immediate parking complaints and follow the instructions on the webpage. If you wish to report online, please hang up now.
Oh, perfect.
If you are calling with regard to city-related services, such as animal complaints or noise complaints, please hang up and dial 311. If you are calling to report fraud or theft, including theft from vehicles under $5,000, damage to property or vehicles under $5,000 that is not related to a collision, neighborhood traffic issues, concerns, or driving complaints, graffiti, or theft of gas from a gas station, these reports can be completed online at www.tps.on.ca/CORE. That's core. If you would like to report online, please
Okay.
hang up.
This is ridiculous. So I'm on live, so I'm going to do something right now. Something that I remember doing. And this has to do with common law. So I'm going to need a signature. Anybody care to sign this after as a witness? Okay, so this is what I'm doing. Notice of liability. Of liability. Double underline on purpose. Okay. Let me just, I'll read it to you when I'm done. Let me just write it quick, okay? Sorry. No one answered.
Yeah, that's right.
Buzzing and buzzing.
Oh, no, there is no buzzer.
Vision. No.
No.
It's just closed.
Yeah.
No one can walk into
Nobody
the
can walk.
station anywhere. That's absurd. Number 52 is hereby put on public notice. 1 second. Public notice. That it